On a dark, rainy evening in the city, Hassan was rushing across the street. His heart was heavy, but his mind was only on one thing: helping his friend. The rain poured down in thick sheets, making the road slippery and dangerous. Suddenly, he heard a loud shout. His friend had lost balance and was about to fall from the edge of a tall building. Without thinking twice, Hassan ran to catch him, but the ground beneath was wet and unstable. Hassan slipped. Time seemed to slow down as he fell from the building. His last thought was a hope that someone would be there to help him. When Hassan opened his eyes, he was lying in a cold hospital room. The beeping machines and sterile smell made him shiver. His body felt strange. Pain was everywhere, but the worst was the numbness from his waist down. The doctor's face was serious as he told Hassan the truth. He was paralyzed. Hassan's heart broke. The young man, once strong and full of life, now felt trapped in his own body. Tears ran down his cheeks. He could no longer walk, run, or even stand. But deep inside, a small light still burned, a secret hope that he might walk again someday. Days passed slowly in the hospital. Hassan faced pain, fear, and anger. Many nights he stared at the ceiling, wondering why this had happened to him. But every morning he reminded himself that he was not a quitter. His family visited, bringing love and strength. His mother held his hand and whispered, "You will walk again, my son." Even the nurses noticed Hassan's courage. They saw how, despite the pain, he never lost hope. But the doctors were not so sure. They told him that walking again was almost possible. They said his spinal injury was severe and that he must prepare for a life in a wheelchair. One day the hospital was busy. People moved through the halls in a hurry. Suddenly, a well-dressed man entered the room where Hassan was resting. This man was Mr. Karim, a billionaire known for his cold heart and sharp tongue. He was proud, powerful, and had no time for weakness. Mr. Karim looked down at Hassan and asked with a smirk, "So, you want to walk again, do you?" Hassan, with a small but strong voice, nodded. "Yes, sir. I want to try." Karim laughed loudly, his voice echoing in the room. "You? Walking again? Don't make me laugh. You should learn to accept your fate." Hassan felt the sharp sting of Karim's words. People in the room stared. Some whispered, others looked away. But Hassan did not answer. Instead, he closed his eyes and took a deep breath. His dream was bigger than this cruel man's mockery. Karim turned to leave but stopped at the door. "If you want to waste your time chasing impossible dreams, be my guest. But remember, not everyone gets a happy ending." Hassan watched him go. His heart pounded with anger and sadness, but also with fire. This moment became a turning point. Instead of breaking him, Karim's cruel words made Hassan more determined. He promised himself silently, no matter how hard it was, he would fight to walk again. In the days that followed, Hassan's mind was filled with questions and doubts. How could he walk again when even doctors said it was impossible? Who would help him? Was he alone in this battle? But Hassan remembered his mother's words. He remembered the feeling of the rain on his skin, the laughter of his friends, and the taste of freedom he once had. And slowly, he began to believe in his dream again. At night, when the hospital was quiet, Hassan would look out the window. The city lights flickered in the distance and the rain had stopped. He whispered to himself, "I will walk again, somehow, some way." Unknown to him, someone was watching. A kind nurse who admired his spirit. A mysterious old doctor who believed in miracles. And even Mr. Karim, who, despite his cold words, found himself curious about Hassan's courage. The story of Hassan was just beginning. The fall had broken his body, but it could not break his spirit. In the cold hospital room, a young man was dreaming a dream that seemed impossible. But dreams, after all, have power. Would Hassan give up? Or would he find a way to turn his nightmare into a miracle? Only time would tell. The days after his accident were some of the hardest Hassan had ever faced. Every morning he woke up to pain. His legs did not move. His body felt weak and strange. Sometimes tears came without warning. The world outside his hospital room went on, but Hassan felt stuck in a dark place. Doctors visited often. They checked his body, spoke in serious voices, and told him the same thing again and again. He might never walk again. "The injury is severe," one doctor said. "You should prepare for a wheelchair life." Hassan listened quietly, but inside a fire burned. He refused to believe those words. He closed his eyes and imagined standing up, feeling the ground under his feet, walking slowly at first, then faster. That dream gave him strength. But hope was hard to hold on to when every day felt so lonely. His family tried their best to help. His mother came every day, holding his hand, encouraging him. "You are stronger than this," she said softly. "Never lose hope." His father, silent and proud, visited less often. He did not know what to say. Hassan's friends sent messages and flowers, but they did not understand how dark Hassan's world had become. Even the hospital staff noticed Hassan's struggle. A kind nurse named Amina gave him a warm smile whenever she could. She admired his quiet strength. But she knew Hassan was fighting a battle inside his own mind, a battle no one could see. One afternoon, as Hassan lay in bed staring at the ceiling, a new visitor arrived. It was a man named Dr. Sami, an old doctor who worked quietly in the hospital's rehabilitation unit. Unlike the others, Dr. Sami spoke with hope in his voice. He looked at Hassan carefully. "I believe you can walk again," he said simply. Hassan blinked. "But the other doctor, they say it's impossible." Dr. Sami smiled gently. "Sometimes the impossible just takes a little longer." From that moment, Hassan's life began to change. Dr. Sami introduced a new kind of therapy. One that was difficult and painful. Every day, Hassan had to do exercises that made his muscles scream. Some days, he wanted to give up. But Dr. Sami was patient and encouraging. "You must fight," the doctor told him. "Your body can heal if your heart believes." Meanwhile, Mr. Karim, the billionaire who had mocked Hassan, was still in the hospital. He came to visit once, or twice, but always with a cold look. One day, Karim saw Hassan trying to move his leg during therapy. He laughed loudly. "Look at you," he said to the crowd nearby, "trying to do the impossible. You are wasting your time." People in the room looked away, embarrassed by Karim's harsh words. Hassan felt the sting of those words, but he did not reply. Instead, he looked down and whispered to himself, "I will prove him wrong." Karim left, shaking his head in disbelief. But inside, something strange stirred, a mix of anger and curiosity. How could this young man still have hope? Weeks passed. Hassan's progress was slow but real. He could now move his toes slightly, a small but important sign. Every tiny movement was a victory. Dr. Sami celebrated each small success. "Your body remembers," he said. "You just need to wake it up." But Karim continued to mock him publicly. "You will never walk. Face reality," he said at a hospital fundraiser, drawing cold laughs from his wealthy friends. Despite everything, Hassan never gave up. Each morning he forced himself to do the painful exercises. Each night he whispered his promise to the stars outside his window. One evening, as Hassan worked hard in the rehabilitation room, he noticed something unexpected. The rich man, Mr. Karim, was standing quietly in the corner watching. Hassan's heart raced. Was Karim there to mock him again? Or was something changing inside the billionaire? Dr. Sami saw Karim too and said quietly, "Sometimes, even the hardest hearts can change." Hassan's battle was not just with his body, but with the world around him. Some people believed in him, others doubted him, but Hassan's hope was growing stronger every day. Would his dream to walk again come true, or would the pain and doubt win? Only time could tell. The hospital halls buzzed with routine sounds, but inside Hassan's heart, a storm of hope and fear raged. Days turned into weeks, and every small progress felt like a miracle. Hassan was learning to trust his body again, but the journey was far from easy. One morning, Hassan sat up in his hospital bed, feeling more awake than usual. The pain in his legs was still there, but he noticed something new, a tiny twitch in his left foot. It was faint, almost invisible, but it was there. His eyes widened with surprise. Could this be the first sign that his body was waking up? He called for Dr. Sami, who entered the room with a warm smile. "Show me," the doctor said. Hassan slowly moved his foot again. Dr. Sami nodded, excitement shining in his eyes. "This is good progress, Hassan. We will work even harder now." From that day, Hassan's therapy sessions grew longer and tougher. He pushed his body beyond limits he never thought possible. Each time he fell down, but he got up again. Pain was constant, but so was his willpower. Sometimes Karim would come by to watch. The billionaire's cold gaze softened a little, though he never said a word of encouragement. Hassan noticed but did not let it affect him. He only focused on the small victories. One afternoon, Hassan's therapist brought a walker into the room. "Are you ready to try standing?" she asked gently. Hassan's heart pounded. Standing. After everything he had been through, this was the moment he had dreamed about. But fear crept in too. What if he failed? He nodded slowly, gripping the high walker's handles tightly. With help from the therapists and a brace around his legs, Hassan slowly rose from the chair. His legs trembled like leaves in the wind. The first seconds felt like an eternity. His heart raced. Would he fall? But then he stood. For a few shaky moments, he was upright, looking around the room with wide eyes. Tears streamed down his face. This was the first step toward freedom. News of Hassan's progress spread through the hospital. Nurses and doctors whispered about the young man who refused to give up. Even some patients stopped to watch him, inspired by his courage. But Karim was still skeptical. After witnessing Hassan's standing attempt, he shook his head. "Don't get your hopes high," he said coldly to a group of visitors. "This won't last." Hassan overheard the words, but only smiled softly. He knew the road ahead was long and full of challenges, but he would not stop. That evening, as Hassan lay in bed, he thought about his family, his mother's gentle face, his father's silent pride, and his friends who had never stopped caring. He wanted to make them proud. More than that, he wanted to prove to himself that he was stronger than his injury. The next day, during therapy, Hassan took another big step. He managed to move one foot forward while holding onto the walker. Then the other foot followed. It was slow and painful, but it was real walking. A cheer went up from the therapists and nurses. Hassan smiled through the tears. He was walking, just a little, but walking nonetheless. Karim watched from a distance, his expression unreadable. The billionaire's sharp words had not broken Hassan's spirit. Instead, they seemed to fuel him. In a quiet moment, Karim approached Hassan's room and knocked softly. Hassan looked up, surprised. Karim entered and said, "You are stronger than I thought." Hassan nodded, unsure what to say. Karim added, "Keep fighting. I will be watching." And with that, he left the room. That night, Hassan felt a strange mix of emotions: hope, fear, and determination. The journey was far from over, but for the first time, he truly believed that he could walk again. The impossible was starting to feel possible. Days passed, and Hassan's journey was slowly becoming a story of hope. But life, as always, is never easy. Just when things seemed to be looking up, Hassan faced his darkest hour. One rainy afternoon, during a therapy session, Hassan was trying to take more steps with the walker. His muscles screamed, his hands gripped tightly, but he was determined. Suddenly, his left leg gave out. Hassan fell hard on the floor. Pain shot through his body. He lay there for a moment, shocked and afraid. The room went silent. Therapists rushed to help him up. Hassan's face was pale. He felt tears sting his eyes, not just from the pain, but from the fear that he had lost all progress. That night, alone in his hospital room, Hassan stared at the ceiling. Doubts swirled in his mind like dark clouds. Maybe Mr. Karim was right, he whispered. Maybe I am wasting my time. Maybe I will never walk again. His heart ached with loneliness and despair. He thought about his family and how they must be waiting for good news. How could he tell them this? Meanwhile, Mr. Karim was preparing to leave the hospital. His visits had become less frequent, and his cold attitude was returning. He believed Hassan's fall proved the young man's efforts were useless, but something inside Karim had changed too, a small seed of respect for Hassan's strength. It confused him. The next morning, a quiet visitor arrived at Hassan's room. It was Amina, the kind nurse who had watched Hassan's struggle from the beginning. She sat beside him and said softly, "Hassan, setbacks are part of every fight. Remember why you started. You have a fire inside you, don't let it go out." Hassan looked at her, tears in his eyes. "I'm scared, Amina. What if I can't do this?" She smiled gently. "Fear is normal, but courage means moving forward, even when you are afraid." Hassan took her words to heart. That day, he tried again. Slowly, with pain and tears, he stood up. His legs shook, but he did not fall. Therapists clapped quietly, encouraging him. Days turned into weeks. Hassan's strength returned, slowly but surely. Every small step was a victory against the shadow of doubt. One evening, Hassan's mother visited the hospital. She hugged him tightly, tears of relief in her eyes. "I am proud of you," she said. "Never forget, you are not alone." Karim watched all of this from a distance. He saw Hassan's struggle and strength. For the first time, he felt a strange connection, a respect for the young man's willpower. He wondered if his own cold heart could learn something from Hassan. But the question remained. Would Hassan's dream of walking again come true, or would the shadows of his darkest hour pull him back? Only time would tell. The hospital room was quiet except for the soft sounds of footsteps and hushed voices. Hassan's body was weak, but his spirit was growing stronger every day. The memory of his fall still haunted him, but he refused to let it stop him. One morning, Hassan woke up with a new feeling, a lightness in his legs. He moved them slowly under the blanket. To his surprise, his right foot twitched. A small movement, but it was enough to spark hope. He called for his therapist, Mrs. Sana, who entered with a warm smile. Hassan showed her the twitch. "That's wonderful progress," she said encouragingly. "Let's work on it together." The therapy sessions became more focused. Mrs. Sana taught Hassan new exercises to strengthen his legs and improve balance. Each day was a battle, but Hassan fought with everything he had. He remembered the words of Nurse Amina. "Courage means moving forward even when you are afraid." Those words pushed him when pain tried to take over. Meanwhile, Mr. Karim continued to watch Hassan's journey quietly. He was impressed by the young man's determination, but still kept his distance. Deep down, Karim felt torn. His pride made it hard to admit he cared. One day, Karim visited Hassan's room without announcing himself. He watched from the doorway as Hassan struggled to stand with the walker. Seeing Hassan's effort stirred something inside Karim. He stepped forward and said, "You're stronger than I thought." Hassan looked up, surprised. "Thank you, sir. Your words mean a lot." Karim nodded slowly. "Keep going. Don't give up." Encouraged by Karim's rare kindness, Hassan worked even harder. Days passed with small improvements, and soon Hassan managed to stand for longer periods. Every step forward was a victory over his past pain. One evening, Hassan received a surprise visit. His best friend, Imran. Imran had stayed away during the worst days, unsure how to help. "I'm sorry I wasn't here," Imran said, his voice filled with regret. "But I'm here now. We'll face this together." Hassan smiled warmly. "I'm glad you came. I need friends like you." Together they planned Hassan's future, not just dreams, but real goals. Hassan wanted to walk again, to live fully, and to prove that no one could break his spirit. The road was still long, but now he had more than hope. He had support, but fate had one more test waiting for Hassan, a challenge that would push him to his limits and beyond. Would Hassan's courage be enough to overcome what came next? Weeks went by, and Hassan's progress surprised everyone at the hospital. He was standing longer, moving his legs more confidently, and even smiling again. But just when hope was growing, an unexpected challenge appeared. One morning, during a routine therapy session, Hassan felt sharp pain in his back. He tried to ignore it, but the pain got worse. His legs felt weak again, and fear returned like a dark shadow. He sat down heavily on the therapy bench, breathing hard. Mrs. Sana looked worried. "Hassan, you need to rest. We can't risk pushing too hard." But Hassan was stubborn. He did not want to lose what he had gained. He tried to move again, but the pain stopped him. That night, the pain grew unbearable. Hassan couldn't sleep. He wondered if all his efforts were useless. The next day, the doctors ran new tests. The results were not good. Hassan had developed a complication in his spine. The injury was worse than they thought. Surgery might be necessary, but it was risky. Hassan's heart sank. He felt like all his dreams were slipping away. Mr. Karim heard the news and came to visit. This time his face was serious and soft. "I know this is hard, Hassan," Karim said quietly. "But you're not alone. I want to help, in any way I can." Hassan looked at Karim, surprised by the change in him. For the first time, he felt a connection. Not just between patient and visitor, but between two human beings who understood struggle. Hassan thought about the surgery. It was dangerous, but it might be his only chance to walk again. He asked for time to think. Alone in his room, he prayed silently, hoping for strength and a miracle. Days later, Hassan made his decision. He agreed to the surgery. The hospital prepared for the operation, and Hassan's family gathered, hoping for the best. As Hassan was taken to the operating room, a calm settled over him. He thought about the long journey, the falls, the tears, the hope, and the people who believed in him. He was ready to fight one more time. The surgery was long and difficult. Hours passed like an eternity. In the waiting room, Karim and Hassan's mother waited nervously. Finally, the doctor came out. "The surgery went well," the doctor said, "but recovery will be slow. Hassan needs patience and courage." Hassan woke up in his hospital bed, weak but alive. He looked around and saw familiar faces, his mother, Karim, and Nurse Amina. They smiled at him, giving him the courage to face the long road ahead. But the real test was yet to come. The slow, painful recovery that would decide Hassan's future. Would Hassan's dream of walking again come true? Or would fate have the final say? The days after surgery were the hardest Hassan had ever faced. His body was weak, his muscles stiff, and the pain was constant. But in his heart, a tiny flame of hope still burned bright. Every morning, Hassan woke early, determined to try again. With the help of Mrs. Sana and Nurse Amina, he started small exercises, lifting his legs, sitting up, standing with support. Each movement was slow and painful, but Hassan did not give up. Mr. Karim visited. Often now. His proud and cold mask was gone, replaced by a quiet respect. He watched Hassan's hard work with new admiration. One afternoon, Karim quietly said, "You are stronger than I ever believed. Keep fighting." Hassan smiled, feeling a warmth he never expected from the billionaire. Weeks passed. Hassan's steps grew stronger. One day, with tears in his eyes, he took a few steps alone, without the walker. The room was silent, then erupted in cheers. Hassan's mother hugged him tightly. "You did it, my son," she whispered. "You never gave up." Hassan looked at her, the pain and struggle in his eyes now mixed with joy. This is just the beginning. But the biggest surprise came next. One evening, as Hassan was resting, Mr. Karim sat beside him. "I have something to tell you," Karim said seriously. "Years ago, I was too proud to believe in others, but you changed me. I want to help others like you, to give hope where there is none." Together, Hassan and Karim started a foundation to help people with disabilities. Hassan's journey inspired many, showing that with courage and hope, even the impossible can happen. The story of Hassan, the young man who was mocked, fell, and faced the darkest times, ended with a miracle walk. But more than that, it ended with a new beginning, for him and for many others.